to lose weight without counting calories, but it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, it's a little bit more difficult, and I want to talk about why. So when we're wanting to lose weight, ideally, or more specifically, we want to lose fat. We need to get into calorie deficit. Everyone knows this, okay? Calorie deficit, know how big your bucket is, don't quite fill it up so that the body eats the fat, eats and finds those extra calories somewhere on the body because you're not giving it enough, or you've created that difference between how much you're burning versus how much you're taking in, okay, through food and drink. So how do you do it when you're not counting calories? Well, you still have to put yourself in a calorie deficit. It's just you don't quite know in terms of portion sizes, in terms of weight of food, in terms of how much you're actually putting in. It's a little bit more tricky because you're not measuring it. It's kind of you're eyeballing things and you're guessing, all right? And it's a little bit trickier, but not impossible. So I'm not saying that losing weight has to involve counting calories, but we advise counting calories at least for a little while to start with, because of the lessons that it gives you. The lessons that you'll learn through counting calories and tracking your food regularly and consistently will give you such an eye-opening experience, because you then realize where all of these calories come from. You then realize how many calories are in things. You then realize, where those biscuits add up, where those few extra grams of peanut butter are going to end up, or where those healthy snacks and unhealthy snacks all still add up to calories, and how you can still lose weight, or more specifically fat, without counting calories. But I'd say it's much more accurate if you do count your calories and you do track, even if it is just for a little while, a short time. I'm talking a couple of weeks, because then it educates you and you understand, you have a better understanding of just how much you're putting into your body. Because what you measure, you can improve. What you don't measure, you're just kind of guessing. It's like saying, I want to save £500 a month. All right. If you don't measure it, then you don't really know whether you're on track or not. You don't know whether you've saved £500 a month or not. Okay. But then if you measure it and you keep an eye on your bank statements, you keep an eye on your spending, you then know whether you're overspending or whether you are on track to save that 500. And it's the exact same thing with your calories. You're understanding how much is going in, you're understanding where you're spending your calories, you're understanding where you're able to take more calories in, and you get a real feel for what your number feels like. So if you're counting calories and you have a target to aim for, you know what 2,000 calories ends up being like in terms of how you feel, in terms of your energy. You can then keep an eye on how much fat you're having, how much protein, how much carbs you're having, and it all ultimately adds up to you having more awareness of what you are putting into your body. And if, like many of you who have got in touch about this drop a dress size challenge to lose weight, tone up and drop that dress size, in order to do that, if you're deadly serious about doing that and about dropping a dress size, you're going to have to track your food, because that is the most accurate way of doing it. And yes, I know that all of these activity trackers aren't 100% accurate. Yes, I know that you may be cooking everything from scratch and you're eating really healthy, but the calories will not lie. The calorie numbers will not lie, and you'll get a better feel for what is actually going in and ultimately how much is going in, because if the podge, the muffin top, the whatever you want to call it, those wobbly bits that you're trying to get rid of, if they're not shifting because of inactivity over this period where we've been hemmed into the house, if it's because you've been snacking a shed load in this last year or so, if it's because you've just not been able to be as active as you used to be because your job's changed and you've been working from home rather than running up and downstairs and around offices and commuting to and from work and all that stuff, if it's not shifting, it's because you are not in a calorie deficit by definition, by physics and by maths. In terms of in the body, if you are not losing fat, then it's because you're not in a calorie deficit, okay? And you're kidding yourself that by continuing to do what you do is going to give you those results if it hasn't worked already. Okay? It's like doing the same thing again and again, but hoping, wishing that you're going to get a different result. Whereas if you do something as intrusive, I guess, as analytical as looking at how much is going in, you're going to get a much better gauge of what is going on, what is going in, and therefore whether you're on track or not to hit your calorie numbers for ultimately that fat loss that you're looking for, that sustainable fat loss. And closing point, you want it sustainable, and yes, you may not want to track calories forever, but you can start by tracking calories, because then when you stop tracking calories, you are in a much better place and you understand portion sizes and you understand just how calorific things are, and that includes all foods. It's not just it's not just about healthy and unhealthy. It's actually about where are these calories, what's the quality of the calories, what is it going to do to me and my body.